Hey man,
How are you doing, my friend?
I'm doing great. How are you?
Very well, thank you so much. So, what is this song called? I can't find the title of the song.
Um, I'm not hearing it on my side.
Can you now?
No, I still can't hear what you're playing.
Okay, this is a song that you posted 4 days ago, and you're playing at Cactus.
At Cactus Cafe. Let's see. That was trying to remember which song I posted because I posted one a couple days ago that was called I Know.
I think so. Yeah. Is that an original or is it a cover?
Original.
Oh wow, it's beautiful song.
Yeah. In Cactus Cafe, you can only play
Oh,
originals.
okay, originals. Yes,
I
I think.
think there at Cactus Cafe, I played the first song I released called Heaven Followed.
Okay.
So yeah, that's
Yeah.
what that one is, and that's out on Spotify and all the other
Yeah. I
platforms.
can't. I don't see you on Apple Music. Why?
Should be on Apple
Should
Music.
be on it because I was looking up. Is it Some Wolf or Some Wolf Band?
Just Some Wolf.
Some Wolf. Okay. I don't know.
Yeah,
Trying to look up, but it's giving me other wolves.
yeah.
Anyway,
I haven't.
it was a pleasure seeing you at this venue in I forgot the name.
OPA,
Opa. Yes,
open
yes,
mic.
yes.
Yeah, that's a really good open mic here. I'm actually going to do that one again next week.
Uh-huh.
Oh yeah, I can kind of hear it coming through a little bit, but
Yeah. And which one is this one?
uh, yeah, it's cutting out a lot. I think that sounds like it might be better than I'll be.
Okay. Yes, yes, yes.
Yeah.
That's a beautiful song as well.
Oh, thank you.
An original. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That one's an original too.
that's when we talked and you told me that it's an original.
Yeah.
Beautiful song. The other song reminded me of one of my favorites from Goo Goo Dolls, Iris.
Oh,
Yeah,
awesome. Thanks.
yeah, beautiful, very nice. I really liked your songwriting. It really popped out when when I saw you first performing at OPA.
Thanks.
And tell me about your journey because your songwriting is deep and that's what I like. And all my invites are invitees are songwriters, but with depth and dimensions in it because now we are living in an AI driven music age
Yeah.
and there are spin-offs from these AI platforms and it's becoming more mechanical, more boring and
Right.
when you hear the music, the human element, and when you see the strum and because the thing about depth is that it weathers the test of time.
Right.
It keeps on growing on you like for example one from U2's Achtung Baby
Hmm.
it's still it's 30 more than 35 almost years and it's still growing on me
Right.
so it takes a different perspective in with the passage of time when you look back at it, it has different spots and timelines. So tell me about your journey, about your influences, about who you are, and uh, your motivation to do all this.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, I started playing music, like I started playing piano when I was 7 or 8. My parents had me take piano lessons, and then I played drums throughout high school. And that's primarily what I started in, like when I started playing in bands and stuff, was being a drummer. Then the band that I was in back then, my bandmates, they always like left their guitars and stuff at my house. And so I just kind of started picking it up and started learning. I was like, okay, well, I want to learn how to play, but I just kind of did it myself and just I think the first thing I learned how to play Def Leppard's Two Steps Behind.
Okay.
And I mean, it's a pretty simple song. There's like four or
Yeah.
five chords, and
Yeah.
from there I took, okay, well, I learned those, four or five chords, and then wrote my own song with those four or five chords, and then kind
Wait.
of just stepped from there and just um
So are we talking mid 90s?
yeah, this would have been mid to late 90s when I kind of started picking stuff up. That's um when I started getting into it. And then yeah, moved into a different band with some of the same like friends, like a lot of my friends that we were in bands together. Actually, we all moved down from Missouri to Austin
Hmm.
to play music here. And so I started playing bass, played bass for a few years in a band, and then just kind of started playing my own stuff. And then I don't know, kind of basically didn't play for about 15 years or
Well,
so. I was in a
well,
really, yeah, I was in a really bad relationship and
okay,
just
okay. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
um, wasn't really encouraged in that relationship to
Right,
play
right.
music. And so I didn't, but I always like, I missed it. Like I
Yes, because
needed
it's
it
all
once.
bottled up. Yeah, 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 yeah.
Yeah. And so once I got out of that, I was like, I mean, almost immediately I picked up my guitar again,
Right.
started playing, remembered a few of the songs that I had written 15 years ago.
Right.
And Heaven Followed is actually one of those. I wrote
Right.
that
I mean,
back in
it's strange.
probably
It's strange that
2006.
girls get attracted to you because of that guitar. And
Yeah.
when you are in the relationship, they start despising you for the same reason because of the, attention that you are getting. And I don't know, it's so shallow.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's the great thing now is I'm in actually a great relationship that, I am encouraged. So like that's really awesome. But yeah, like my musical journey from there, I this was a couple of years ago. I started going taking vocal lessons at the Band-Aid School of Music here in Austin, and had a great teacher in guy Josh Mosier. He's a excellent. I mean, he's an amazing musician in and of himself. He's also a really great teacher, and
Hmm.
learned some vocal techniques, some vocal warm-ups, just like what to do. And then we kind of just branched into like talking about songwriting, and just, I mean, kind of went through everything, how to try to release a song and what to do with that kind of stuff and how to record it, and just going through all of that. And so that's what I started doing then, is just started learning how to record my own songs, and put them into a some DAW software, and just
Right.
figure out how to do all that, and the microphones to get, and
Yeah.
and I mean, it's really complex trying to learn all that in addition to playing the music, but
Yeah.
it's
Yes, yes.
it's really rewarding to
Right.
to have that and to experiment with it, because you can just I can record something quickly on guitar, but then start adding in some piano and some other elements, and it's been really fun over the past couple of years. I mean, um, getting these, this few songs that I have out there right now.
Mhm.
I just, I did this all myself, with the exception of a couple of songs. I actually did Heaven Followed, and the next main single that's coming out, Push Me. We actually recorded the vocals and the guitars at Band-Aid School of
Okay.
Music.
That's
And
cool.
then I, brought them here and added other elements, synthesizers and stuff like that, and did all the mixing and mastering myself here. So,
That's cool. I mean,
um,
yeah, I
yeah,
mean, it's great. I feel that we belong to the same era because I love your t-shirt. I
thanks.
like t-shirts with all these logos and and things, and but I love Airwolf,
Yeah.
and that's where ironically that's where I started my music on the keyboard and piano. I used to play da 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 da,
Yeah, yeah.
and
Yeah,
same
I know. I used to
Night
play
Rider.
on piano too.
Yeah. Yeah. So, and I suppose I started as a pianist as well, and
Cool.
then for the same reasons, good or bad. I mean, I became I used to be in bands as well, always mostly leading, But I learned guitar for the same reason, that because music is a collaborative art, and
Yeah.
but and I learned production for the same reason as well, mixing, mastering. But thankfully, one good thing that AI is doing is with Ozone and Isotope,
Yeah.
AI mastering.
Yep. I've got that
You
too.
just throw in the reference, and just it throws out what you want. So, but I have spent my life in studios, and I record my first single back in '97 with the
That's
tips that
awesome.
I used to get. Yeah, and
Yeah.
yeah, and but I totally agree with you. However, at the same time, now that we have become so autonomous, I miss the band aspect of it, and
Yeah.
playing with the band, and and I mean, I do play with the band over here in New York, at Brooklyn Music Kitchen, being in a band, camaraderie, that lifestyle, that looking out for each other, checking in
Yeah.
with each other, I miss that. But I guess there is I mean, I think I'm in the midway of my life, and there is a lot more to look forward to, because I see
Yeah.
my all my heroes. I saw Whitesnake performing last 2 years back
That's
in
cool.
Huntington, and then I saw Paul Rogers, and and Jeff Beck before he died. It's going on, and it's going strong. I see Paul McCartney touring, and Rolling Stones touring. So I think there's an AC/DC touring, as AC/DC
Yeah.
to touring. So a lot to look forward to.
Yeah, yeah, and I definitely miss the band aspect as well. And I mean, I think that's what I'm eventually wanting to get towards. Right now, trying to, go out and play open mics and just kind of get better on stage because, all my previous experiences were either behind a drum set or, as bass player, you're not front and center in the spotlight. So like just me being up there, that's kind of a different thing. And I, want to get better at my stage
And
presence
it
and
doesn't
stuff.
feel at all, it doesn't feel at all. For example, if you're on drums and bass, so essentially your mind works in a live format only. You know,
Yeah.
your brain works in a live
Right.
setting only, because that's the thump, and that's the groove, and
Mm-hmm.
that's the kick. So, however, but. That's the part I like in about your songs, is that it has that subtlety, in it, because you are not trying to over deliver. Just like usually the singer-songwriters try to do, because they are solo performers, and so you are not trying to over express, and because you have a grounding in backing the band. The drummer
Yeah.
provides the outline, the boundary in which
Right.
everybody performs, and bass is the key. If you bass is the feel. If you can feel it with the timing, then I think then only melody and the chords are left. The rest is all there. And
Yeah.
Phil Collins once said, difference between a good band and an extraordinary band is a drummer. You know,
Yeah.
yeah. So I really like that element in your songwriting, because the way you illustrate the picture in a song format. So it's like it's like storytelling. There are phases. You are transitioning from one phase of life, or one phase of expression, to another, and your transitioning is really smooth,
Yeah.
and doesn't have those cliche in terms of crescendos, or extreme highs, or lows, or an abrupt bridge. Your songwriting has that granular quality, as well as it has that spectrum of harmonic spectrum, I would say, if I can call it that. So it has that, the how should I put it? It has that a volume to it, in the sense of
Yeah.
how it hits you, and how the frequencies, and how the tonality and musical transitions, captivates your listening senses.
Yeah. Cool. Yeah. Thanks. Yeah. Really, I guess for me, what I'm always trying to focus on is the emotional aspect of playing songs live. I mean, that's, you know, a lot of my favorite, and I guess a lot of my influences,
Hmm.
come from, like one of my big ones is the band Beartooth, and specifically Caleb Shomo, the lead singer. I mean, they're more metal, which I mean, I do love a lot of metal stuff, but what I think my one of my big influences when I started playing again was they did a session, an EP, this called the Blackbird session, and they took like four of their songs, but did them in this kind of Americana
Hmm.
style. And like when I heard those, I mean, it hit me, and you can hear just the how much those songs mean to him and like what they mean to him. I mean, the last song he like basically breaks down and almost like starts has to leave, like he sings the last note and like leaves. When you watch the video, like, he
Right.
leaves the studio because it just hits him so hard. And like, yeah, that's where I want my music to come from and how I want it to connect to people is,
Right.
I want them to feel whatever they want to, whatever they connect with, because it might not be the same thing that,
Right.
I necessarily wrote the song about, but I want them to feel something. And so that's what I'm always trying to get across is, I feel something with this and I want you to as well. And, you know, just to connect with people.
That's the missing element these days, because
Yeah.
first of all, it becomes extremely challenging when you are concentrating on the production aspects of it. Like for example, Eric Johnson, and the great from Austin, when he transitioned into Pro Tools and all these things, he never recovered. I don't see that Eric Johnson anymore. I saw him performing at BB King over here in New York.
Yeah.
But he, sorry to say, I mean, he's of course a legend and a guitar god, but
Yeah.
it sometimes, in terms of productivity, in terms of output, it fizzles out. Of course, it varies from age to age, and touring, and how
Yeah.
consuming your schedule is. However, uh, it's good that you're focusing on the emotional aspect of it, and that's what's missing in today's music. I mean, the good thing about late 80s rock, or grunge, even grunge,
Yeah.
people say that grunge was angry, suicidal. But I think for me, grunge was emotional.
Yeah.
When I
Definitely.
hear Alice in Chains, I hear emotions, which I don't hear anymore, because you can make any song, a super hit, if you can just add the right emotions into it, and
Mm.
that's what audiences expect from musicians today, because I went to David Guetta's show over here in Mirage, Brooklyn, and it was a great experience. But it was an experience. However, when I saw Sting, or when I saw Whitesnake, or U2, or Guns N' Roses, it's engraved in our DNA. And Guns N' Roses Axl was hardly singing anything, because the entire stadium was singing, and
Right.
at MetLife. It's because there is this emotional attached to it.
Yeah.
And for example, especially in Turkish music, I hear there's a lot of emotion, loaded with emotions. However, with multi mainstream media bombardment and multimedia bombardment and social media bombardment, we are getting desensitized to it, and
Yeah.
audiences want to hear that emotional element, which you find a lot in country music, I think.
Yeah.
There's always some sort of emotion involved, whether it is grief, whether it is despair, whether it is hope for future, and that's why it stands tall as a genre as compared to all the rest of genres, in which are nominated in Grammys or whatever. But and it has its true audience and following.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think that's part of the reason why why I started to gravitate more towards like the folk like
Mhm.
style. Even though I mainly grew up listening to metal
Metal.
and
Yeah.
grunge and hard rock, stuff like that, uh, was the emotionality that like comes with it. Like, I mean, one like you were talking about the emotions that you heard, and like in grunge, and the first thing that I think of is um Kurt Cobain on, when they did the MTV Unplugged singing "Where Did You Sleep Last Night." I mean, the
Yeah.
end of that song. I mean, like his voice.
Right.
You can feel the emotion when you're
Yes.
hearing what he's singing, and like it's like, yeah, like that's what I want to get to,
Right.
is like that type of thing. Is
Right.
like that's what matters. Like,
Right.
yeah, it's fun to try to get things, when you're producing them to sound really good and great, but it's like the the important part is the emotion, and that's
Yes.
what I always want to try to focus on and make sure that that's there. So,
I mean, yeah, people try to label it now that in hindsight, people try to label it as, label it as, heroin, you know. But now that we started, this discourse, and now I realize that basically difference between good music and mediocre music is emotion.
mm-hmm.
Because I love this new metal revolution, but what remains timeless, for example, for me, every Slipknot song is emotional on some level,
Oh
and
yeah.
yeah, there is some emotion in every aspect of what Corey delivers or renders.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there are greats like System of a Down, Rage Against the Machine, uh,
Right.
the Limp Bizkit, Linkin Park. But uh, one thing that you will never see missing from any Slipknot song is the emotion.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. And I kind of feel the same way about Linkin Park. I mean, just like even back then, like when it was first coming out, I wasn't like a huge fan, but then I got into it a little bit, and it's been later, like now, like kind of hearing and seeing some people kind of do deep dives into it on YouTube and stuff, and talk about Chester Bennington, and like again, like you can feel the emotions when you hear him singing, and it's just like it's sometimes it's not even the words that he's singing, it's
Yes,
just how he's singing it. Like
delivering
you
it. Yeah.
can feel that and just feel the pain that he was
Yes.
going through, and like it's so powerful, and I
Same
love
is
listening to
about,
that kind of
yeah.
stuff.
Same is about Chris Cornell
Oh yeah,
and Scott
definitely.
Weiland.
Yeah.
Those are heavenly voices, and the reason we don't hear them anymore is because the lack of emotion and the desensitized nature of because now we are over connected.
Hmm.
Before we used to live. I don't know. It's kind of muffled for me. Uh, Now, when I look back into 80s, I feel that that disconnect was necessary, and that isolation was constructive because it
Yeah.
was time to ourselves and time to rejoice of what we were entertained with. And now we are over interconnected and hardwired, and like Metallica said. And but at the same time, we are living in silos and we are isolated more than ever
Yeah.
because there is no real life interaction.
Right. That's true.
And that's where I came to Austin with a mindset of live music and tech, and I think for the same reason, I think it is the greatest place on earth because you see unity between two idealistic views of liberalism and conservatism, and a perfect harmony. And that's why the art part, whether it is music, comedy, theater, whatever is live is celebrated over there, is because it is nurturing all the good aspects of on the ideological spectrum, I think.
Yeah. Yeah, I definitely love the music community here in Austin. I mean, yeah, I mean, like you said, the art community here in
Yeah,
Austin. I
yeah,
mean,
yeah.
some of the open mics that I go to, I mean, you can just feel that the authenticity, the just the genuine connection that people have, and just the how much everybody supports each other.
Yes.
Especially there's a couple of the open mics that I go to. There's one at Annie's Day and Night, and then like Cactus Cafe and stuff. Where they really focus on this being a listening room. So like everybody is there, everybody is quiet and just focusing on whoever is performing on stage, and you just you know you get that sense of community and camaraderie with all those people. And I love going and seeing the same people and seeing them improve
Right.
as they go through their musical journeys, or their artistic journeys. Some of them are doing spoken word, like, I mean, what we saw at OPA. I think Hashir, I think he
Yes,
did some like amazing poetry,
that's
and
right.
I've seen some of that at Cactus Cafe too. Some people just did some spoken word, and I mean, it was intense, like
Yes.
hearing them do that, just as intense as music. And so it's really cool to see how everybody can connect in their own way and get whatever they need to get out into the world, get it
That's
out
right.
there. And I love that. So
Absolutely. I mean, these are like dead art forms if it
yeah.
comes to, coast to coast, spoken word or poetry, and they are the essence of our consciousness and
Yeah.
sense of our perception, that makes us enlightened, that makes us feel light. For example, poetry. I do poetry as well. I have my book available on
Yeah.
Amazon.
Oh,
Uh,
cool.
yeah, thank you. And I share, of course, spoken word, and the way he delivers or renders it, only he can do that. It's
Yeah.
impossible for anybody else to say those words with same intensity as because he means
Right.
every word of it.
Mm-hmm.
However, at the same time, that's the missing link because it's all live. And in 2 weeks, I made more friends in Austin than I made in 10 years in New York.
Wow,
And
that's awesome.
yeah, and authentic connections and connections with people who are accomplished artists themselves, such as yourself. I mean, I remember I when I came at OPA first time when I met you, I was, my Airbnb had some issue. So I told him, I'm going to this place and, I'll be back. And then I asked you for your, mobile
Oh yeah, a little tripod.
holder. Yes,
Yeah.
tripod. And you gave to me. And then the reception that I received after I performed those Michael Jackson
Oh
hit
yeah, those were
was,
awesome.
yeah, and then I saw you perform and amazing other artists, and it was instant, and then we stayed in touch, and I mean, I have strong admiration for your style and your songwriting,
Thank you.
yeah, and then I took that energy and I came back to New York, and then I spread the same energy, and now I have more friends than I ever had before. It's so
Awesome. That's so cool.
strange. It's so contagious, the
Yeah.
good vibe,
Mhm.
because when you are in a bubble, then you think that this is the echo chamber, and
Right.
there is no world that exists outside it. But ever since I came back from there, I saw that life can doesn't have to be so rigid.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely.
So tell me a little bit about your influences, in general, in genre, in artists, and your plans.
Yeah, okay. Like, I mean, I mentioned Beartooth. I really only got into them within the last few years, but
Okay.
like just really connected with Caleb, the lead singer, like his journey. He's gone through a lot more stuff than I've ever gone through, but still, like, just hearing that and then listening to his music, and you can feel it. So I, really count him and them as an influence. But also really been into band Wild Rivers. They're kind of a folk pop,
Okay.
kind of a duo or trio. I really love the vocal harmonies that they've got going on between Cal and Devin, the male and female leads. So that's really cool.
Mhm.
Also, like one of my favorite bands is White Lies, which you can see I've got a couple of posters
Okay.
up there
Okay.
for them. They're kind of post punk. Kind of. I always say they kind of sound like a modern Tears for Fears.
Hmm.
They're definitely a huge influence. Like their songwriting is so just it's real, and it's like you don't necessarily have to understand. I mean, you can hear them clearly, hear the words clearly, but you don't have to like listen to the words really closely to get what they're trying to say. So really like them. And you know in terms of me, like what I'm trying to do with my own vocals, I mean, you mentioned Chris Cornell, and definitely like trying to do that. And I've got some newer songs that I've been working on that I've kind of almost going into his style, not exactly like him, but something along those lines. Um, and yeah, I mean, my influences and musical taste are like all over the place. I mean, I mentioned, Def Leppard, Van Halen, and I mean,
Of
loved
course.
listening to them when I was growing up. Metallica, Megadeth, those I like love that kind of stuff. I mean, I'm
Yeah.
nowhere, I cannot play guitar like any of those guys,
Yeah.
but still, like, I like the songwriting that they've done and the way that they perform. um and then also you know Nirvana and they're just a huge influence.
Right.
Nirvana, Foo Fighters, they've
Right.
always been uh
Tell me a little
close
bit
to my
about
heart.
country. Being in South, do you think that you have any essence of country leaking into your music?
I mean, I think so. I mean, my parents, listened to country a lot when I was
Okay.
little. So like I definitely had those
Right.
influences,
Right.
kind of the more old school
Hmm.
style country. And I did go through some phases when I was a teenager listening to, especially that early 90s country style. We had like, Garth Brooks was
Right.
big,
Of
and
course. Yeah.
Tim McGraw, like
Yeah.
that style back then, which I really did like a lot of that stuff. It kind of started to get to like making country more rock
Mainstream.
sounding.
Yeah.
And I thought that was cool. But yeah, I think now, I'm getting more into, I think what I would consider more like folk, like, like
Folk.
Wild
Yeah.
Rivers, some other like the band Camp, the
Okay.
CAAMP.
Okay.
They're yeah, I really like a lot of their stuff. Noah Khan, he's
Mhm.
really, really great. I know I'm forgetting some other
Right.
people, but yeah, like I've definitely been getting into that kind of stuff. Also, from kind of back in the, he was bigger back in the '80s. John Hiatt. I One of my favorite songs that I still need to learn the guitar, but I love singing along with. Feels Like Rain,
Hmm.
song that he has. I mean, it's a
Right.
phenomenal
Right.
song. It's just so
Right.
fun to sing along with. So yeah, like I think those are kind of, you know the influences that I could think of. Like I said, I mean, like I love listening to all kinds of music
Okay.
all the
Well,
time, from metal stuff to grunge to folk to some country to some there's a couple of female singers I like to listen to. Rose Betts, she's a English Irish
mhm.
singer who,
Yeah.
like, now she lives in LA, I think, but some of her stuff's amazing. It's this Scottish singer named Natty.
Mhm.
She's really amazing too, and just like I like listening to them, and also following them on Instagram, seeing them go through their journeys because they're newer, fairly newer artists as well,
Mhm.
but they're just phenomenal in what they do, and
Right.
so it's just it's inspiring to watch some of these people kind of go through the process. That's they're much further along than I am, and I don't know that I'm ever going to get to the level that they're at, and that's
Uh,
fine for me. I don't.
for me, being into multiple, art forms, the only thing I think I was speaking to this sound engineer at Brooklyn Music Kitchen, and I said, the only thing real in this world is music. Everything else
Yeah.
is a simulation,
Yeah.
based on our
Yeah. Yeah.
mindsets, So, like you mentioned phases, and we are on different, embarking on different journeys, uh,
Yeah.
and there are twists and turns, and everybody has a story to tell. So now the question is how good we package it and how we can the other people can relate to it. So that's that.
Yeah.
So you're on a great footing. Tell me, is there a story behind your name, Some Wolf, or is just your expression, or your persona?
Yeah, I mean, it was I was looking when I wanted to start doing this. I don't know, I just didn't want to just put my name
Okay.
out there. I
Uh,
mean, not that I have like a bad name or
right.
anything
Right.
like that.
Right.
I was just like, I don't know, I wanted to have a stage name, an artist name.
Got it.
Also kind of thinking, okay, eventually I wanted this to be a band, and
Right.
I don't know, like, not, I mean, there are great bands like, Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers and stuff like that who do
Uh-huh.
have their name, but
Right.
I don't know. I just wanted it to be just an artist name. It's what I've always resonated with.
Mm.
And so trying to come up with a name did take a while.
Right.
Because I mean, so many of them, like, you're like, oh yeah, this one sounds good. And then you go search for it. Somebody else has already done it. So
Yeah.
it took a while before I found something. And like, I've, have always really, I don't know, connected with wolves and dogs, just
Right.
like the,
It's great.
how they can be kind of loners, but they do connect with their
Right.
pack, and
Right.
so that's kind of something that has always yeah, resonated with me. And then Some Wolf is just like, well, yeah, like I'm one of just many people,
Right.
many wolves out there in the world, so yeah, I'm just Some Wolf, so like
That's
that,
a great
I
that's a great name
thought it
and good
fit.
recall
And
value, and it's unique.
yeah.
So tell me, what DAW do you use? We have got 2 minutes left, and just rush me through your production palette.
Okay, yeah. I use Ableton. That was it. It came, like, I had like you know a version of it came with I use like little Focusrite
Hmm.
um, Scarlett interface,
That's nothing. Yeah.
um, and just kind of started with it. And my vocal coach, he uses that too, so I kind of just went with it
Right.
and went from there,
Yeah.
working on it. And so yeah, I use that, have a whole bunch of different plugins. I've got
Great.
Ozone,
Yeah, yeah.
Isotope, like you mentioned
The
too,
mic you
to
use SM7, or you have another vocal mic?
yeah, I've got the SM7
D.
DB
Yeah.
one here. I've got a few others,
Okay.
like, but I bought this one more recently, and this is
Okay.
kind of like now the main one. I've got a Shure SM uh 58 up there just to like practice with and stuff like that. But
Everybody uses it, from Michael Jackson to James Hetfield.
yeah, it's a great mic. Yeah, I don't know if you want me to mention like some of the stuff like I've got coming up. too, since we're
Yeah,
running out of
yeah,
time?
because we are running out of
Yeah.
time. So quick, yeah, yeah, quick
Yeah.
answer.
I'll, still playing some more open mics. I'm playing at OPA next week, next Wednesday. And then, I'll be playing, just some other random open mics here and there. But I do have a full album coming out on May 8th.
Oh,
It's
great.
called Before and After.
Perfect.
It's got some of the songs I've already released, but